everybody. I just want to welcome you back to Underground Tennis. This is our second video in our series during the coronavirus outbreak. First of all, I hope that you and your families are still staying well during this very challenging time. I wanted to make another video to build upon our last one to talk about what tennis players can do at home during this time to improve their game and get a better understanding of tennis. So without further ado, let's get started. Why was I singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow? Why are there rainbows in the background? Because, first of all, during this difficult time, rainbows are a symbol of better times to come. Rainbows are also very useful when we're talking about becoming a better tennis player. So last week we talked about techniques to put topspin on the ball. This week we are going to continue along those lines. But the question I have for everyone is, when you watch tennis on TV, great players, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, Serena Williams, how are they swinging so hard, but yet still the ball keeps landing in the court? Because I think that most people, most normal humans, when they go to a tennis court and they swing as fast as Serena or Novak, the ball is going to go flying out. So how are they keeping it in? Well, the answer is topspin. When they're accelerating their racket so fast, they are creating a lot of topspin on the ball, which is bringing the ball down into the court. One of the ways you can think about how that ball goes over the net and comes down into the court, it's like a rainbow. It's like an arc shape. And in order to create that, we also can think about the shape of a rainbow. So last week, we talked about our ping pong paddle. We talked about this action, once again, looking like a rainbow or a windshield wiper, of how we would create topspin with both our forehand and our backhand. Okay? So I want to reiterate that. We see our rainbows in the background, so beautifully drawn by my children. This shape here is what the players on TV create in whole or in part in order to get the spin on the ball that's going to bring the ball down into the court. Okay? So how can you practice this at home? Well, we talked about it last week, that you can use a ping pong paddle. Or if you don't have a ping pong paddle, you can just use your hands. If you have a tennis racket, you can use that. Okay? And of course, if you have a device like the Billie Jean King iCoach or the Topspin trainer, where you can practice your rainbows with your left hand and your right hand, that's going to really help you to create the topspin that you need. Now, moving along, we're thinking about rainbows, okay? Not only does the action of the topspin that you're creating with your hands and your forearms look like a rainbow, not only does that ball going over the net and taking a dive down the other side look like a rainbow, but another thing that we haven't talked about is, in addition to topspin, footwork. Adding some movement to this, okay? So if you have a device like this at home, that's wonderful. Even if you don't have a device like this at home, you can still practice footwork in addition to your tennis strokes. So let me show you how. I'm going to angle the screen downward a little bit. Here I am again. I'm going to angle the screen downward a little bit so you can see the bottom of my topspin trainer. And now you're going to see my feet. Yes, I'm home and I have my slippers on, but you're going to see how I move my feet in order to come around the ball and practice my topspin ground strokes. I move this way to the side and around that ball to the other side and around the ball to the other side. You may or may not notice something happening with our theme of the day. Once again, my pattern of movement as I'm moving around this ball to hit it properly and to get good topspin ground strokes also looks something like a rainbow. Okay? So when we're practicing our footwork at home, I'm going to angle this back up again. Whether it be with our device or whether it be just in our room or whatever space that we have, practicing this action of the rainbow for topspin and practicing our footwork coming around the ball each and every time when that rainbow pattern is going to help us to marry the movement with the actual stroke so that we can become better ground strokers, better tennis players. So practice this at home, everybody. This should give you enough to do. You can do some different patterns. You can do a pattern where you, for example, practice 2 forehands, come around, practice 2 backhands, and get the pattern of 2s. If you're getting good at that, do a pattern of 1 and come around, and 1 to get a little extra movement, and you'll start getting your game better at home. Once again, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week.